First of all, you quoted Sam Marshall when he said, my heart is gonna make me broke. And I was like, yes, I can so relate to that. Oh my word, that is like taking the words out of my mouth. But the fact that transformation is transactional.
It should be.
The penny dropped.
And I will be unapologetic about it. Anything transformational should be transactional, and be unapologetic about it. Because if you want to change the world, you need to have access to funds. And there's corporate, there's government, there's philanthropists. So you need to go in and of course, there must be strong, strict governance about how you use this money. And that's important.
Why is it so important, especially in these times, to have a political conscience?
You know, hope is a big word. And I think, and I believe that hope at one time was never a strategy.
Yeah.
But hope is a constant. We do so many things, but what is your bank of goodness? Just you get up and you be brave for today. You don't have to be brave for tomorrow, because then you're already fearful for tomorrow. And then you don't have to be brave for yesterday, because yesterday has already happened. So being brave is in the act of the now, of being present in the moment. What decisions am I making today? Beautiful. What changes can I make today? It becomes daunting if you do not know what the word bravery should be for you, and not what society wants you to be brave.
Before we dive into today's conversation, a heartfelt thank you to our sponsors who make this podcast possible. Your support helps us share powerful stories, spark important dialogue, and amplify voices that matter. We're proud to partner with brands that believe in our mission and invest in meaningful conversations. Today, I'm joined by a woman who has mastered something most of us underestimate. Not success, not visibility, but influence. And trust me, she's got a lot of visibility and success that comes along with it. Now, Katie Mohamed is the author of the memoir Brave Today, a powerful account that transforms lived experiences into life lessons on purpose, identity, and courage. She is also a premier marketing and media maven, a businesswoman, a change catalyst, and the founder of W Suite, a platform reshaping how women show up, collaborate, and claim space in leadership. She is also a co-host of the hit podcast Outspoken Owls and reaches over 300,000 listeners weekly through the Influence Equation radio show, where she explores her influence and shapes identity, opportunity, and impact. But today, we're going to go deeper, because Katie didn't just write a book, she built a blueprint. She created the Influence Equation, and we're going to unpack what influence really is, how is it constructed, and why so many women misunderstand, fear, and underutilize it. If you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or underestimated, this conversation might change how you move through the world. Without further ado, Katie, I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much, Carmen, for having me. And it's sometimes when you sit and listen to somebody introducing yourself, you kind of have an out-of-body experience because I think we just carry on every day, and then all of a sudden somebody tells you, well, this is your bio and this is what you actually did. And I like to sometimes tap myself in the back. So thank you for that.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think we as women tend to not celebrate ourselves enough. And I think it's so important. I mean, you've reached so many important milestones and you're still going out there, driving the change. As you say, I'm a change catalyst. I want to see the change in the world. And, you know, you're doing so many incredible initiatives. You have recently been brought into my life. And I thought, you know what, let's have a real conversation. I want us to unpack this incredible. So this is the book by Katie Mohamed. It's actually, by the way, congratulations, author of the year. Tell us more.
I mean, last week I couldn't go to the event that was nominated for, and of course, you know, again, I'm sure we'll speak about it and we'll cover it. Is where you just think you're not going to win, right? Because there's other great authors, and I didn't go because I was called to go to something else, and I get a message from my office that says, "Congratulations, you're now an award-winning author." And do you know that was part of my not a physical, like a mental vision board, is that I want to put award-winning author next to my name, and so it's fairly new. I haven't officially put it out there, but being called an award-winning author means that that you are recognized, and for me that's very important.
Oh, that's so incredible. Okay, so I'm also from Durban. I grew up in Durban, and when I saw, you grew up in Richmond, KwaZulu-Natal.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the little girl that grew up in Durban, Richmond, and specifically who you were before the world knew who you were.
I grew up in a little village, and I always say it's not even a town; it's a village. Or maybe it's a one-horse town, which is near the Sleepy Hollow, Pietermaritzburg, where I went to school with. And it's a little town where it was a distinct. I come from apartheid, so yes, there was there was white and non-white, and that was very clear. So I've grown up in the apartheid era, and then. Equally, you are in a little town that is rich or poor. So delve into you not belonging from black and, being not white, and then you're not rich. So it's a class system as well. So that little girl with, big starry eyes in a little town called Richmond in Delaney, big shout out. And I often say that I come from a town that had warlords, whether they were good or bad. But there was, Safisa Nkabine, Willem Kiese came from all of that. So I grew up in a town that was politically driven. The energy in that town was always very political. And so when you are with teachers that you grow up that are activists, when you grow up with a father that's an activist, family that's activist, so all you're doing is you are, there's no softness about you as you're growing up. It's about survival. It's about, in the late 70s and the 80s is where you have kind of an alarm about what time you need to get back home if you're not. You grew up in an environment where you are 10 years old, 11 years old, where you're not allowed to walk with more than 2 people. So remember, when you're growing up, you're walking to school and back home, you're walking with a group of people. And so you grew up in that constant era of the world that will always separate you.
Sure.
So imagine you in the apartheid area, you're not allowed to walk with more than 2 people. So as kids, you never knew why, but eventually you just took everybody's word for it that the moment you see the white man, you kind of got to split because they know that if it's more than 2 people, you might cause trouble. So it was a constant survival as you were growing up in a little town in Richmond. And but I wouldn't change any of that little town because it made me think about the girl, the big ideas, the big city, the stars in my eyes, and the big vision. So I think that little town, and I believe that town molded me into who I wanted to become and who I needed to be for the rest of the world.
Who would you say has truly been, your mentors in your journey as an activist? Because I think that is so important. Being an activist, you can't do that journey alone.
I grew up with a dad that was an activist and fought for the rights of the community, the rights of poor people more than anything. So my papa, in his misunderstood wisdom, was one of the giant humans and souls in my life that helped me build the activism. I had a teacher, a primary school teacher, Mr. Andrew Ruggieville, and I write about him in my book, who forced us to learn to speak great English, because that would have made us stand. At that time, we never knew where we were going to have a free society. But remember, you come from a group of an Indian community, and everybody speaks the certain way. Black people spoke the certain way, white people spoke the Indian people spoke the certain way. And I had this teacher, and he eventually became the mayor of Richmond, which was really great because he was an activist at that time. And it would be me listening to some of his conversations with my father, where it's like the overhearing of what was right and what was wrong. So it was not forced on me. It was subtly, kind of a chosen way. And I would hear people come into our yard and have a conversation about what they want to do. And so as a child activist, I would think now I'm about advocacy. So it has evolved over the time, because activist is quite, we needed to find a cause at that time, and that was, of course, fighting the apartheid government. So yes, my dad, my English teacher, who ensured that we all try to speak proper English, spell properly, so that we could thrive in the bigger world that probably they foresee was eventually coming. So I often had family members that would judge me for the way I spoke as well. And society would tell you, why are you speaking like a European, the white man? And it was really about, those kind of things. As you're growing up, you hear people saying, it's like, but I don't want to speak like you. But you realize that you needed to stand up against the world if you spoke great English. So those were the little things that my father taught me. And write about it in my book as well, Brighter English. You're kind of younger than me, but you remember Brighter English. And for me, every single day, my dad never spent a lot of time with us. We had, a tough relationship with my dad, loved him to bits. But the one thing that he did was spend that hour a day with Brighter English. And those are the things that have made such a big difference in my life.
I completely appreciate that. I think one of the questions I want to ask, growing up on the other side of all of this, like during the apartheid regime, I always wonder when I look at what's happening in the world right now and what's on our horizon, how do you find hope? Like, especially as a little girl, when you don't know that when this is going to end, you don't know if the end is in sight. What was the rituals around keeping hopeful that you can change things? I mean, how did that actually give you all the lessons for life in order to change your life, literally from all aspects?
Hope is a big word, and I think, and I believe that hope at one time was never a strategy.
Yeah.
But hope is a constant. So it might not be a strategy, but hope is a constant. And as a young girl in a small town, all you have is hope. Hope to be better. Hope that the world was going to be better. Hope that we were going to have an equal society. So for me, as much as over the years I thought, hope is never a strategy, but hope has to be a constant. Because when you have hope, you have bravery and courage, resilience. It all comes with that. So I always say that in anything that we do in our lives, you keep to having hope.
That's a very important message for the times that we are living in right now. In your book, you are deeply personal. It's all built through these stories and life lessons. When did you realize that your voice wasn't just something you used, but it's something you owned?
When I was 13 years old, going back to the little town, I was 13 years old and I was an avid reader. And again, we had a black and white library. You had a white and a non-white library. And we were part of you'd have to go to the non-white library. That's it. And I remember that I needed a book, and it was not available in the non-white library, which means I needed to take a trip up to the white library and say, well, I'm here. I'm 13 years old. I am as innocent as they are. And I'm like, knock at the door, and it's like, hey, you have a bigger selection of books, and this I'm doing on my own. And I would assume, could you look to see if there's this book that would be here? And they said, no, you're not allowed to be here. And I remember at that time, my voice was the one time that my voice was super important, was I challenged the librarian at that time. And I said, and at that, my mom always said to me, I always get my mouth into trouble. And outside the library, in the white library, it said, no dogs allowed.
I remember those.
And my response was, well, it should be no dogs and Indians allowed, right? And then I go back home and angry. And I think when you get angry, sometimes you're so tearful when you're angry. So the tears that I had was not, I was so emotional about it. I was so angry that I was not allowed to go into a library. And I said to my dad at that time, it's like, oh, they didn't allow me in the library. And my dad made one call to the Natal Witness and said, well, this is what had happened. And that was part of the activism. my voice was telling that story to everybody at that time. I was not allowed in this library because I was of color. And that was one of the first times that I used my voice.
Reminds me of Meghan Markle when she wrote that letter, I think, to Procter & Gamble. Remember?
Yes,
when
many
she
years
wrote
ago.
that note, and also used her voice at a very young age. So profound. When looking at your understanding of politics, why is it so important, especially in these times, to have a political conscience?
Conscience, I don't think it's only about political conscience. And we spoke about this a few days ago. Consciousness is so important that it gets layered into different things. So consciousness it should be part of your DNA. And I know that we say you can also learn it. So sometimes it is part of your DNA, but sometimes you need to learn it. And it layers. Politics is one of consciousness. And I think it's about education.
Yeah.
Right? Having an understanding of what is going on around the world is extremely important, because you are able to take a step back and make a decision of what is right and what is wrong. Not what you think is right, not what you think is wrong. It's as clear. It's black and white. It's the one thing I agree that can be black and white. What is right and what is wrong. It's a non-negotiable.
Yeah.
So even political consciousness, it needs to be learned. It's a big part of education. I get angry when I think about how we were never taught, from a political perspective, the levels of the black and white issue. We had to learn about the Anglo-Boer War and the Dutch East India Company and the Cold War, but we never learned about our own political system, not only in South Africa, in our continent.
True. Yeah.
So political education is important, political consciousness is important, but I always say the political consciousness is a black and white issue, and I don't mean it as people. I mean, you draw the line. There's no, maybe we could. It's either a right or a wrong.
And I so agree with you. I mean, if I just look at my own story, is the moment when Madiba came into power. I mean, it was such a joyous day also for us to see him in power, because he was such a wonderful man. And what I really remembered about myself is I didn't politics, because it came with such backlash and what it was, and it was so disgusting. I didn't want anything to do with politics. I have avoided it for most of my life.
But you would have been also protected and safeguarded against what the real things were happening.
Yes, exactly.
From your schools and your family.
Yeah. I mean, when they announced Madiba's coming out of jail, I've never heard of Madiba in my life.
Wow.
Yeah. I still remember where I was, and we all went, who's Mandela? We didn't know. And so, what we were taught is what we were taught in school. But I also feel like now that I'm older and I know that there's so much to fight for, and we all have responsibility. We can't just look at government to fix all of our problems. We also need to get involved, roll up our sleeves. And
it's easier now.
Much easier now, but also surrounding yourself with people that get it and learn from people. I mean, I'm learning so much from you just being in your area, the conversations that we're having. It's important because we grew up in very different worlds, but there's a bigger goal at hand here, and coming together and in unity and trying to see how we can create that social impact. I mean, it's I don't think these conversations happen enough. We always look at somebody outside of us to fix our problems.
But Carmen, I think you are different to many people. You open yourself to listening. You open yourself to learning about other things. A lot of white people don't do that. They just want to, it's my family, my immediate family, my extended family, and I'm just going to concentrate on that. And I realized that a lot of people and a lot of my white friends that I have are prepared to listen and are prepared to not say, well, I don't see color, without saying, well, actually, when I said, well, there is color. You are this color and I am this color. We can't not see color, but we can see cultural differences.
Yes.
And that's the difference, is when you are prepared to listen about certain things and make your own decisions from there, whether it's right or wrong. But I think that's where the difference is now that you are learning and you get to spend time with people that have, decades of experiences. And I wouldn't say wisdom, it's experiences. And that we can talk about our experiences.
Yeah. I think what really woke me up specifically around this is how politics have been moving around since the pandemic. Like I started realizing, there's a lot going on, and this is actually the geopolitics is the next level. I have to understand what's going on because all of a sudden decisions in the boardroom is no longer about, we want to have an innovation, this particular technology. All of a sudden, conversations are number one priority is understanding what's happening in the shifts within geopolitics, because this impacts policy, it impacts everything and how your supply chain, the whole thing. So, it's you're speaking such an important language here, is that we really need to become conscious about the political systems and understanding it.
And then conspiracy theories a couple of years ago was so far. It was like, okay, it was the USSR for me. It was the USSR and China, right? And now all of a sudden, when we talk about conspiracy theories are here and now, and it is in action. Conspiracy theories for me before was in a movie.
Yeah.
And, literally a KGB agent, double agents, all of that. Now you just put on the television and you're listening to our very own country on a court, listening to court. You're like, did that just happen now?
I know, right?
And then, of course, also you're thinking about when that is put out in the media, what are they hiding?
Yeah.
Or what are they deviating from?
Yeah.
So you also, the consciousness, political consciousness becomes like, yes, we are so engrossed in this court case at the moment. You got to think about, oh my God, what are they
distracting us from?
What are they distracting us? But that's how the consciousness is, right?
Right. Yeah. 100%. I think, just to your point on conspiracy theories, I think there was a time where you think, this is a conspiracy theory. And now you start seeing like, this could really be true. And this is why there's never been a more important time to educate yourself and to be knowledgeable and to look into history. I've built a whole framework around it, but I don't want to digress from your important story here. What is something that I really want us to tackle is this word, brave. Brave. Bravery is a word that's used a lot and sometimes can be used so loosely. But once you're in the trenches with all your fears and you have to really run towards it, like, for example, Conscious Leaders, when I started it scared me so much. Even now, many days I will go, maybe this dream is not for me. Maybe it's too big. Maybe I am fooling myself because I have to entertain these fears, but every day I have to show up with courage and move one step forward. And your conversations that I've listened to around bravery is very enlightening. So I want us to talk about a few points. One of the things is that we hear a lot in our community is, I'm tired of being brave all the time because I'm always brave. I always have to, the system is not built for me. This thing is not built for me. And I have to, I'm a mother of 2 children. A former husband doesn't contribute to the family. I've just been retrenched. Like, there's so many stories that you hear and then you go, it's actually true that bravery is sometimes exhausting. What is your view on that?
Often we think that bravery is the opposite of fear. And that's where that conversation comes out. It isn't the opposite of fear. Bravery is about being in the now. It's about, and that's why my book is called Brave Today. Just you get up and you be brave for today. You don't have to be brave for tomorrow, because then you're already fearful for tomorrow. And then you don't have to be brave for yesterday, because yesterday has already happened. So being brave is in the act of the now, of being present in the moment. What decisions am I making today? Beautiful. What changes can I make today? And I think if we think about bravery in that way, then we know, well, how can I be brave today? And maybe that's an affirmation that most of us should be doing, is how can I be brave today? Not, brave is such a hard word. It's such a draining word, because it becomes daunting if you do not know what the word bravery should be for you, and not what society wants you to be brave. And I always think, for me, my book, and the reason I chose the title was, there is a quote in the Bible that says, that I saw, it said, God does not give you grace for tomorrow. He gives you grace for today. And for me, that's where this came from, is that you don't it's not about tomorrow. It's about today. How can you be graceful today? You can't be graceful for tomorrow because you don't know what tomorrow holds, but you can be graceful for today. So that's where it is. It stems from, how do we get up and be brave today? And for me, Brave Today as a book is a life book. It is about it's about not only inspiration, it's about aspiration, but it's about human element. When we talk about bravery, it's as simple as, what does bravery require from you? Right? Bravery requires about you going through emotions. So the emotions that we all go through at any given time is grief, is loss, is sadness, it's for me, it's if you take all of those emotions that we all go through, and we say, how do I get through that? And all of those are linear. They can't be fixed. Those emotions cannot be fixed in one day. You can be brave today and then get up tomorrow and say, well, I don't feel like being brave today. And it's also okay. So for me, we all go through the exact same emotions in our lives. So how are we able to be brave to manage those emotions? So we break it down into. And the book Brave Today is also about aspirations that we all have. And our aspirations are success, joy, happiness, fulfillment. And that is how you kind of say, what do I want to be brave for? My emotions and my aspirations. My emotions and my aspirations. When you break it down like that, it becomes a little bit less daunting.
Well, that gives me the perfect segue into us talking about the big conversation in your book, which is the influence equation. I mean, you're a very successful woman. You're a social butterfly. You're in every single room. I mean, I'm like, how do you know these people? Like, it's unbelievable. And I'm not just talking local, like international. And it's phenomenal to see how you work a room. Like that little girl at the library. You are that when you're networking. You just walk to people and you go, hello, my name is Katie. Oh, I just want to have a conversation with you. I just want to understand, what is it that you do? And tell me a little bit more about your life. And I'm like, how do you do that? Where do you get all the energy? And then at the end of the evening, there's 20 people around you. And I'm like, what just happened? What is going on? And then you see pictures everywhere. And I'm like, I'm so shy. I'm actually, you will not believe this, but I'm a very shy person. So I will I don't know if I can go and ask that person to be on there, to have a picture with them. I get so shy about these things. But then when I see how you show up brave in every setting, I'm like, okay, I got a lot to learn from this woman. So talk me through that.
So you've definitely seen me in action, clearly. Yeah. And what people see on social media, you've seen behind the scenes of it, right? Yeah. And for me, it is, what's the worst thing anyone can say is no.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think for me, and that is, influence is not in a DNA. Again, it's not especially even confidence. Confidence is in consistency. If you get up and do the same thing every day, you become confident on that thing. So when you network, you got to do more of it every other day so that it becomes so easier. So I've been doing it for, maybe 50 years of my life. I'm 55 now, but I would say 50.
You don't look it. You don't look it.
Thank you. I feel it.
You're in that movie, the reversal of your age, yeah.
So it's about, for me, it's, yes, it takes a lot of investment. I mean, building social capital is exactly like the word capital. It's exactly like how you build the bank. There are two folds that I learned over the years. Is that my father, in his divine wisdom, said to me once, he says, we put so much work in this world that we do not invest. So it's like a bank. We go, we make some money, we put it into the bank, right? And then we bank that because we want like a savings. So we put that into savings to hopefully one day we have this huge bank account there, right? We all wish we do that. And it's the same thing in the bank of goodness. So he often says to me, we do so many things, but what is your bank of goodness?
Oh, I love that.
What is the bank of goodness? And your bank of goodness is people. It can only be people.
Sure.
And it can only be deeds. It can only. So for me, how do I get to my social capital? By having a bank of goodness, which means not everything's going to work out for you. Is show up, number one. So when I'm building the social capital, I'm also building the bank of goodness because I am looking for deeds to be a better person, right? So I'm having those two banks now, the bank for this world and the bank for the world hereafter, if you believe in the hereafter. So for me, that's how I see it. My bank for this world is the connectivity, is the networking. Equally, my bank so that's the social capital. And as the hereafter capital is making sure that I'm good to these people, I'm kind to these people, I'm looking for opportunities for social impact. And then there's the difference. Part of the masterclass that I do, and one of the most important thing of the masterclass is I call it the 3 eyes of influence. And one of the 3 eyes of influence is integrity. If you are not someone of integrity, those networks and connections will not gravitate, say, 20 people at the end of the afternoon. So you have to be people of integrity in order for you to be able to connect with people around you. And yes, networking is not about business cards, and we'll collect all of those business cards, right? Networking is the strategy. Connecting is the substance. Right.
Oh, say that again.
Networking is the strategy. Connecting is the substance. So we can all connect and so your strategy before you go to an event is that how many people am I going to connect with? Minimum 5 people, as an example. So wherever you go, whether it's a family function, whether it's friends, whether it's a conference, that is your strategy. I'm going to network. I'm going to make sure that I put myself out there. And if you get 3 out of 5 people, you can pat yourself in the back and say, I did well. But then if you get 20 out of 5 people, and you can I'm an overachiever. So for me is how do I now take the connections into the 20 that I've met, and maybe 15 might not work. I'll keep those cards there. 15 and I might give them to you and say, hey, you know what? I met an astrophysicist, or here you could connect with that person and tell them that you got the details from me. And that's the substance of it. So yes, it's exhausting. Yes, when people see your social media, I mean, half the things I don't post on my social media, but the ones that I think the reason why I post most of the stuff on social media is that you want that young girl or guy or boy to see that it can be done, that you can rub shoulders with people of influence that have had a journey, that has experience, that have the wisdom. And I think, yes, you have the people that are some celebrities, but some celebrities are of influence as well. Some of them are. But then if you look at the ones that I'm always with, business people of influence that are social impact catalysts, trailblazers, inspiring change makers, those are the people I get excited about. And, I also don't know everyone.
Yeah.
But you get to know them. So if you also are around people, and I would say, and I think you and I've done this to you, and I say, Carmen, that person is the da-da-da.
Yes.
It makes a difference as well. So that's what I do. If I hang out with someone and they're like, I'll say, who's that person that everybody goes? And it's like, oh, this is the person. Immediately I go onto Google. I already know who the person is. So if I go up to them, I am confident because I'm clear. I have clarity of who the person is.
Yeah.
And that is how that equation starts. It's not a formula, because formula you follow other people. This is your own equation, and everyone can do it if you use that. So for me, being in the spaces that often people ask, so how do you get invited to all of these things? Number one, I might not be invited to all of these things, but then it goes to the people that you keep around there. So I might have friends or colleagues that say, hey, I'm invited to this thing. Would you like to come with me? So I'm equally invited to things, and I would do that to you or anybody else to say, hey, I'm invited to this. Would you like to come with me? So that's how that happens as well. And what happens is when you eventually build a name for yourself, and I'm not talking about a brand, because I think when people talk brands, they just think, oh, okay, I don't want to be a brand. A name for yourself, which is a legacy. You want people to know your name. So automatically the people would know that you're an advocate for women empowerment, women advancement, youth development, social impact. So automatically, because you write about it, talk about it, vocal about it, you automatically get invited to those kind of events. So yes, I would be invited to some of the glamorous events because I equally like to be a fashionista. So I do get invited to some of the glamorous events. But the events that I do get invited to are about business, are about impact, social, economic impact. And those are the spaces that I want to. So if I'm invited to the Cannes Film Festival, it's because I'm a filmmaker.
Please take me with you if that happens. Please, pinky swear, pinky swear.
Okay, this is
my goodness. You know what? That's been on my to-do list for 10 years. I said I've always the creative one though.
Yeah. The creative one.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
But then again, it goes back to the good people you keep around you. I have a friend, and she's like a big sister, and I always often speak about her, Firdaus Bulbulia, who's a filmmaker, a world-renowned filmmaker. And every time there's space that there is the creative industry, she would make sure that I can decide if I want to go to those things. But because she's in that creative industry, she would make sure, she says, hey, do you want to go to the Cannes Film Festival? Do you want to go here? Do you want to go to,
wow.
And again, it's that kind of space. So it's important to have the good people around you.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think what I also appreciate a lot about your style is you've researched the room before you even got there. I'm usually that person, but sometimes when I have so many busy things happening in my day, I don't have time to do that. I'm a kind of person, you're going to think I'm weird. I like to manifest literally before I go to an event. Just 5 minutes, close my eyes and imagine myself meeting these people. Don't know who's there, but I'm feeling called to be here. I go and then see what happens at the end. And I must tell you, like just with you, we went to the UCT event and I met that amazing Jerry. And then I also, Jay Naidu. We had like, there's just been incredible.
And I don't want to distract you on that, Jay Naidu would never have responded to your LinkedIn, because I saw he did.
Oh, yeah.
If you did not meet him at an event.
Right,
So he physically met you, you commented, you tagged him. He's an icon. He's legendary. And he commented on your... Now, when everybody looks at him comment, he was like, oh my God, what does Carmen actually do and say? So that is the level of influence that you begin to have, is when other people start cheering you, because that's a cheerleader, when he comments on something like you. And that is an absolute evidence of what influence is.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's remarkable. Now, I want to talk to you about money, because you said something, she said something so profound. Because I sometimes, first of all, you quoted Sam Marshall when he said, my heart is gonna make me broke. And I was like, yes, I can so relate to that. Oh my word, that is like taking the words out of my mouth. But then we had a meeting, and this is how this works with this woman. So you go for a coffee, and the next moment there's just people arriving. Like, oh, I want to introduce you to this person and this person. I'm like, geez, like, okay, I'm peopling today. But the end I was, what do you say? My tired is tired.
My tired is tired. My data's depleted.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, you said something so profound that it's not left my mind. And I want us to unpack it. And I'm so glad that you're here, that we can talk about it. Fact that transformation is transactional.
It should be.
The penny dropped. Talk to us.
So there are two things about my relationship with money, right? Ever since I was a little kid, I always liked money, but I liked the freedom of money. Ever since I was a little girl. In my book, I was that little girl at 10 years old going around the town selling things. I was in school selling sweets and sour figs and all of that. So I loved the freedom of money. So let's just start there. So I loved the freedom of money. And then my dad, again, in his divine wisdom, in my high school year, said to me, because I was trying to understand, oh my God, why is it that I love this freedom of money? Because I looked at it, because when you're of poverty and you look at people, you don't look at don't look at them with envy, the ones that have it. Remember, I was that little girl that was always invited to wealthy homes because I had a mouth. So the girls, and I always thought, maybe they were doing some charity, and they would invite me to these rich, to their houses. So I would be going there to these beautiful houses. We didn't even have a television, and there's the television in color. And I was like, and I used to look around as a young girl, and I was like, oh, wow. Money gives you freedom, choice, right? Whether it's health, whether it's, you can just buy whatever you want. It's the freedom. And I came back. My dad was the least materialistic person ever. He had 4 shirts and 3 pants and 2 pairs of shoes, and that was it up until he passed on. May his soul rest in peace. And he said to me something so profound. And he said, don't ever believe people that say money does not bring you happiness. Because people that have money say, money doesn't bring you happiness. Money can always bring you happiness. Money can bring you incandescent happiness. Because when you have it, when you have access to it, you get to share it with others.
Oh, beautiful.
And that was me in teenage years. So that's always stuck into my head. When you have it, when you have access to it, you get to share it with others. So my entire life, it was about money. I started selling, as a young entrepreneur, what we call Tupperware. In my early 20s, that was my side hustle, selling Tupperware, table charm, all of that stuff as I was going. And I saw that what the freedom of money did for me. I was able to send money home to my parents. I was able to help my young siblings. And as I got older, money became just accessible, working at the SABC, being somebody that was thriving in her career. I mean, I've never seen this amount of money. And then you become so materialistic and you forget what your father said, because all of a sudden it's about, these shoes and these, and you have all of this, but you're thinking insular. You're thinking about yourself as well. You want the new shoes, the new bags. And 15 years ago, when I left the SABC and I realized, I'm an entrepreneur,
it's very different.
It's very different. It's that money is just not coming into the bank account. And when I started working on social impact, and I started seeing, I didn't want to be like my dad, where my dad would take the money from home, would take the fruit and vegetable from home to go give to the community. And I'm like, it shouldn't work, because that's not a good cycle, right? Because you need to create hordes of money, a bank of money, to be able to help other people. Because my dad would take from us, and that's what he's like, no, you would take from us to give other people. And I'm like, but that's not sustainable. So fast forward 15 years ago and 10 years ago, when I started working in the social impact space, and I was like, it's really great to do good work in the communities. But how do we get to become a social entrepreneur? I am not a trust fund baby. I do not have a rich husband, or husband, I call it. For now. A husband.
It's prophesied.
So, yes.
Brave today.
So I'm like, well, if I want to help be part of the change in the world, and if I want to be part of transformation, I got to have this. If I don't win the lotto, I've got to have a pool of money. I've got to have pool of access of people with money in order for me to be transformational. So then I said, and I will be unapologetic about it, anything transformational should be transactional, and be unapologetic about it. Because if you want to change the world, you need to have access to funds. And there's corporate, there's government, there's philanthropists. So you need to go in and of course, there must be strong, strict governance about how you use this money. And that's important. And that for me is, again, a value system that you need to have when you're part of a transformational agenda. That is transactional. So yes, I've told Sam Marshall that Sam is like, but I'm a hippie. Sam says, but I'm a hippie. But you can't live on love and fresh air.
No, it's so true. But we were having a conversation. So you must go and check out Sam Marshall's show. He's got the only social impact show in the world. You've got your own show. I've got a segment within it's a social impact show. And he's such a beautiful soul, and he does such beautiful work. And we were talking about something that I was hoping you can even fill in for us, because we were talking about you, about this importance of influence. And he was talking about how we need to start thinking differently by, on our journeys, having luck traps and pockets where we can, on our journey, that we can have opportunities for success to happen and blossom, where it's not just this big audacious goal that's out there of what we want to do, but on the journey there is luck traps. So I wanted to see if you have any input as to how do you turn your network into opportunity and create luck traps. Could you perhaps fill that in?
Well, I'm gonna not agree with you on that, right? Because I'm that girl. So in my entire life, I did not like the word luck, and I'll tell you why. I always felt that luck means that you are in a lucky packet, which means you're not great enough. So you know, like, think about the lucky packet. You're putting your hand in a lucky packet, and you're just gonna take out whatever it is. And I didn't like that word many years ago. So I changed it. And for me, it was like, how do I become fortunate? Because fortune favors the brave. So when I say I am fortunate, I am highly blessed, I am brave. So for me, that is the manifestation. So for me, it's now, instead of saying what did you say, the pot of luck, or
the luck traps.
The luck traps. Yeah. For me, it would be, where's my fortune traps? And my fortune traps, because luck is, it reminds me of those lucky packets with those cheap sweets, and I don't like it.
Those pink sweets.
Those cheap sweets. And fortune, when you think about fortune traps, if you close your eyes and think about fortune traps, what do you see?
I see a leprechaun.
Okay.
With a pot of gold. No, I'm joking.
Yes. But think about it. The fortune is the gold. The fortune is the gold. And that's the fortune. When I have to close my eyes and think about fortune, and I would just think about those movies and those cartoons with those coins that hang over the chest of the things. And there's the jewelry. But also, fortune is the good people with you. So in my closing of eyes, I have all these beautiful good people there that are equal fortune. So fortune traps should be all of that, because that's where your opportunity comes. I don't like the word opportunist, because sometimes I think, am I an opportunist? Because I'm always like, going, what can you do for me? And I was like, no, actually, I'm not an opportunist. It's all about advancing myself. And if I advance myself, I'm helping advance other people as well.
Such a beautiful way of viewing it. And you know what I like about you? You might differ with the way that I'm looking at this, but
it's just semantics.
Yeah, we've got very similar numbers, right? And I have circle of friends, maybe 4. That knows my deepest heart secret. There was a time in my life where I used to try and make everybody my friend. And that hurts, because I got a lot of hurt during that. So I had to start defining what these circles starts looking like for myself. And I can still be influential, but everybody doesn't have to be my best friend. And it's okay to say, you know, some relationships, I think that if we're just honest about it and just say, okay, this is a transactional relationship, it's like, this is what's going to happen, or then we don't get hurt so much. But when there's no guardrails and you just pour yourself into somebody that never had good intentions with you in the first place, that's when it gets very muddy for me. And I was hoping that you could give me advice on that, because you've gone through all of these journeys, and perhaps to our audience as well. How do you build influence, but also know the place of those relationships? Not everybody is going to be your best friend.
And I think it takes a lot of time over the years. You can't just make that decision today. I mean, you can, but I mean, it takes a lot of time. And I thought about this many years ago. And I have a dear friend, Basasane Kumalo, who said to me once, when I said to her, I said, oh, I'm so fortunate that I collect the good people. And her response to me was, baby girl, in order to collect good people, you have to be good people. And that is you. And for me, it's, first you start there. You can collect the good people along the way. You don't have to just have the 4 friends now. It's along the way. Yeah. And we often think, and we gloat sometimes, is that, oh, that friend is, I have that friend of 30 years. But you can meet somebody 3 months ago and that person can change your life. That 30-year friend would remember you from 30 years ago. The 3-month person that you met 3 months now knows you here, knows your journey. And so for me, I don't think we should box ourselves.
Yeah.
The thing about being liked, but like we always say, you're not pizza. We can't all be liked, by everybody. We have to think about being people pleasers, because when we want everyone to like us, we are people pleasers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good thing, because people pleasers is inauthentic.
Yeah.
When you're a people pleaser, you can only always, and that's why now it's when people like, oh, it's my friend, it's my colleague, it's my peer. We need to be very specifically about who are your friends, who are your colleagues, who are your peers. And it's also okay, because certain people have seasons in your life, like with everything. It has seasons. I think we're so hard on, do we have to have friends for 20 years and 30 years? We're so hard on ourselves, because who we were 20 years ago, like I said, I'm not here. So it's also okay
Evolved,
with having people, seasonal people, and it doesn't make you a bad person. So I could be your season now for 6 months, and they could be Anna that comes along now, and that you need her at that time, and Katie takes a back step, notwithstanding the fact is you will still send me a message or not, but you might not hang with me anymore, but that's okay. But if I was confident about myself, I would also be okay with that. I wouldn't say, oh my God, now Carmen doesn't need me anymore. Because remember, there's that maturity of me to say, well, actually, Anna now is doing some really great things with Carmen. But it takes such a level of maturity about and deep mindset, a deep mindset change about these friendships, about relationships, about people in your life. And that's why you can get up every single day and say, what is my intention for the day? And I think even your family cannot be your friends anymore. In fact, sometimes some of our family members annoy us. But it's also about building these relationships. Like you build your business, you have to constantly build relationships with people. Yeah. And we have to also understand that we were not good people at one time. We also evolved in our life. We also probably irritated somebody sometime in our lives.
Yeah, there's always a
right?
yin and yang.
So even now, equally now, not everybody is for you. Not everybody has the same value system as you. And we often think that these 4 people only know everything about me. Do they? I don't think so. Because I think that is not true. As much as we have the closest friends, they don't know everything about you.
Unless you have a couple of bottles of wine with me and my friends.
Could be.
Listen.
But I don't think they would know the nasty part of me. You wouldn't want them to know the nastiness of you. You don't want your friends to that shadow, or the person that's a little bit envious of something. You're not going to tell your friend, oh my God. We often don't do that. We protect ourselves. And I think we need to not be hard ourselves of being guarded, of being too trusting, because we get our hearts broken. We don't only get our hearts broken by our partners, we get our hearts broken by our friends. So why don't we think about it like that? When a man or a woman has broken your heart, you break up with them. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to let go of them, right? But we talk about these red flags. You have red flags with friends. Yeah. But you have. So for me, it's why is it so easy to break up with someone and not break up with a friend if the friend's not good for you?
That's so profound, because usually it's the last place you go. It's usually the last, even if the red flags are there. It's you let me give this person the benefit of the doubt.
But think about our friends, and I also say this in our friendship circles as well. Is that when there's that one friend that only comes up with negative things, not only about you or themselves, it's about the world. The moment they see you, it is, oh my God, I had a shitty day. Oh my God, this taxi driver broke. Oh. And all they're doing is, oh, I'm so busy. And this client, whatever. And you're like, I don't know. Please, as much as you're my friend and I love you to bits, value my time as well. Because that It's this, I think about, and I've told this to, and as we go along the way, we learn and we share, right? And I shared this with a couple of my friends, and I said the other day, I've learned something called the empty boat mindset. And just Google the empty boat mindset and read up about it. And the empty boat mindset is that when you're riding in your boat, whatever you canoeing your boat, and then an empty boat comes and knocks into you, right? Who do you get angry with? There's nobody there to get angry with. You just, like, that boat was floating away and just knocked you there, right? But if there was a person rowing the boat, you get angry with the person rowing the boat. So in the same way with our friends and the people around us, just imagine that it's an empty boat and that person is not there, because that person must have had a bad day and venting and this and that, the other. And I think I've also learned, I've been the most impatient. In fact, I used to pray for patience, because I've been the most impatient person over the years. And with fortune, it has happened is that patience I have learned, I probably got 60% patience now. And that means that's a lot. And you practice the patience even with your friends as well. So then you will see, when you practice all those things, which friends are good for you and who is not, right? Often enough when your friends hang out, you're like, no, have a glass of wine, have an extra glass of wine. But you also probably don't even know that your friend is going through an alcohol problem. And then you're thinking, no, because you want the extra but that person might be going through things that's not sharing with you, or you as a friend is not saying, listen, friend, I think you have a problem, you're having too much, because that is what friendships are. Not just like rally and let's just do this together because of life and whatever.
It's holding people accountable and responsible, and I think that is what I love so much about the friendships that I have close to me, is that I'm having a really bad day today. I feel like this is happening to me. Please, can you tell me, where am I going wrong? That are brave enough to actually say to me, Carmen, I actually think you're overreacting. You're being too sensitive in this particular situation. Because sometimes you need honesty. Those people around you that can be honest with you, that you can look at it through different lenses, because when you're in it, sometimes you don't see it.
Yeah. But I think what's the most important is ask permission. Yes. Your intention is, I need to vent with my friends. Ask permission, because you don't know what your friends are going through at that time.
Yes,
so all of a sudden, somebody's going on, one of my very close friends, and you're like, I've had a shitty day, or this has happened to me. I'm feeling a bit broken today, and now you just waiting. So this is an example. A lot, many people know that I've been in a bad breakup and stuff like that. The other day I told, because I seem to be the only one that doesn't have a person, amongst these friends, this group of friends. And I said to them, guys, can I just stop all of you here? Is you kind of moan and the other word about about your partners and your boyfriends and your husbands, but you end up going to somebody you're cuddling with, right? But I'm your friend and you're going to, complain about him. It's a privilege that you're having. So I'm saying to them, I am underprivileged at the moment. Your privilege is that you have somebody that you can moan about. Think about me. I've gone through a bad breakup and I feel that I was not chosen and all of those kind of things. But all you're doing is complaining about. So I said, I do not want to hear my man, my husband. So please, when you talk to me for a while, until you ask me permission, that I'm okay with. But for now, I feel, I was not chosen. I was not good enough. I'm going through all of those. So I think the intention of having these conversations with our friends, so when you do want to vent to your friend, I'm having a really bad day. Do you have a moment? And if your friend gives you the permission to say yes, or can we chat a bit later? Then you know things are not okay at that time and you can chat a bit later. And I think our intention is the most important part of it. And we just seem to, I always say is we allow ourselves to be dumpsters, even with our friends.
Sure.
I don't want to have my friends be my dumpster. So I'm trying to ask for permission to say, hey, listen, I'm going through this, or this person sent me a WhatsApp and I'm a little bit irritated. Can we chat about it? Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is you do not want to be an energy vampire of a friend, and you don't want to be a dumpster of a friend.
100%. And I think managing those dynamics are very important, because when it comes back to influential circles, if you don't know how to manage your intimate relationships, that spills over and has an impact on your network.
As well as this world is such a, we live in crazy times. You could have a best friend forever and one little thing, and all of a sudden you're not talking to this best friend. And you have, in confidence, told them so many things about other people or other things. Your reputation gets ruined in a split second. So also be careful what you share with your friends.
Very true.
And again, you know how to speaking about authenticity. It doesn't mean you are inauthentic. You are protecting yourself from future things to happen. It's because we all are not great people. We all do gossip about other people. It's the truth. We do talk about others. Like, hey, well, we speak about people that are on the internet, of course, not friends, but like on the internet. Like, hey, did you see that one posted that thing about, or that didn't look good, or whatever. We all are guilty of that. But if that goes awry, and then you've broken somebody else because you don't know what the intention of that person is. And I always say is be careful about the level of confidence that you have, and say, well, I'm going to tell my friend everything. No, you're not. Because you also want to protect yourself. I also don't want to be sound like I'm a real bad person by constantly being negative about somebody else or something. So I do keep some things to myself as well. Say things what you need to say.
Yeah.
So I think that's an important part about. And again, when you talk about people that influence you, and our parents told us this, don't hang out with that person because they might influence you. We didn't really realize that was actually something true in there. So you have to also, birds of a feather kind of thing, flock together, as they say. But I take it one step further, is you can make the decision of who you want to be around with for however you want to be around with. And again, lastly on that, if you look at WhatsApp chats that we all have, we don't have everybody on one WhatsApp chat. We have about 50 different groups, but we equally happy and joyful with all the different groups. So we must be okay with that. So yes, your core group is that. So think of our friendships as WhatsApps as well, as all these group WhatsApps that I can be with you and Adriana and Matthew on one, and I could be with Sam, you and thing another. It doesn't mean that we're not true to ourselves.
I love that.
So think of our friendships as WhatsApp groups.
Beautifully put. Listen, I've had so much fun chatting to you. We could sit here for hours, but I think let's close this off. What do you think is the bravest thing a woman can do today that doesn't require breaking herself to become it?
Is having a voice, but having a voice with intention. The most important thing, when you look at the stats of women, and we look at some of the Arab countries like Afghanistan, and you're like, oh, they don't have a voice and they cannot say anything. But 60 years ago, in America, we weren't able to have a credit card. In Scandinavia, we weren't able to have abortions like 40 years ago. So those are the stats. It's that we're not able to have voices and impactful voices, and using your voices, not stand as this is who I am, take me who I am. You use your voice, because your voice is so powerful when you are able to use it with intention.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I always say being brave is being able to use your voice for yourself and for other people.
Yeah.
Not only for yourself. And that's what's so powerful, is if you are able to be an advocate for other people as well. And I wouldn't say voiceless. It's people that are not able to use their voice for themselves.
Or not being heard.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you so much. And to our audience, please comment below. Tell us what you thought. Subscribe, like, love, get a book. And if you want to get hold of Katie, where can I get hold of you?
On all my social media platforms, Katie Mohamed. On my website, katiemohamed.me. LinkedIn, Katie Mohamed. Instagram, katie.mohamed. _Mohamed. But on my TikTok, I'm very playful. So if you do follow me on TikTok at Katie Mohamed, please know that my kids cringe when they see some of my TikToks. So yes.
Thank you so much. And we'll put all the links below for you as well. You've been a phenomenal, wise soul. Definitely an owl.
Well, I'm an owl, and my name Khadija in Arabic means born before her time. So I'm owning it.
There you go. Anyway, bye-bye now.
Thank you.